What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Highlife Reel. I'm Bill Rom,
Josh Shapiro.
and let's get started with this week's headliner. Number one story for me this week, John Gruden coming back as head coach of the Oakland Raiders. Been an analyst for a while, has his Gruden quarterback camp and
Gruden Grinders.
yeah, and all these different things, and he's become a huge media celebrity as a coach. Almost like John Madden was, as the guy running Monday Night Football and things like that.
That's video games.
And he gets 10 years, $100 million to return as a coach. What's your thought process with that? Highest paid coach history.
Wow, yeah. I mean, I'm going to personally miss watching him on television. The Gruden Grinders, the way he would talk. I know a lot of the guys over on the network were getting all choked up, even talking about him leaving because he just brought that much value and that much fun to the network, watching him on TV. But I think that's a little bit much for him. I think that's a little bit like hype beast, kind of like paying for like a Yeezy shoe.
Mm-hmm.
You're paying for an overpriced Yeezy shoe when it's like all about the hype. And I'm not saying Gruden's not worth like being a high valued coach, but for someone who hasn't coached in a little bit to bring him back and be like, oh, here's 10 years, $100 million, highest paid coach in the NFL. That's like to me saying I'm going to go out and buy like a Yeezy shoe. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a good shoe, but it's not worth $450.
I feel you, and I kind of understand. And I would say that if he was a coach, if he was Bill Cowher, so Bill Cowher's been doing TV now for a while, successful Steelers coach. If he was Bill Cowher, I would say that this was a little too much. The reality to me is, when Gruden was a coach, everybody loved him.
Okay.
When Gruden stopped being a coach, everybody loved him more. Because of his role and how he ran things at ESPN and what he wanted to do, every year he was out on football fields coaching quarterbacks and going through this actual quarterback camp and breaking down film and doing film review studies and mapping out offenses and doing all this stuff. And I think because he spent so much time doing that, I think he's uniquely suited to return to the sideline, and I think he also may have a tremendous amount of pull to free agents and fans. If we look at this as a fan-driven league, Oakland's moving to Nevada. They're moving to Las Vegas. And I think this is the last season that they're in Oakland, is the season coming up. So after this year, he's going to be in Las Vegas. What's the draw? Having a coach who you want to see, a team that could potentially be successful from a social media standpoint, I think this is a win.
Yeah.
My question is, and it's the one that I think you were just kind of talking to, what actual impact is this going to have as a coach on an NFL game? I think that Derek Carr is going to do very, very well.
Mm-hmm.
When Carr was coming out, and Gruden was extremely high on him and was saying that he thought he might be the best quarterback in that draft. Turns out Carr was pretty good. And he had a bad year this year under Jack Del Rio. I wonder if that offense, those things get turned around. This is a Super Bowl winning coach. This is a very difficult one to go. What would you say for you? What are your expectations in year one as to what's he able to do with Oakland?
You got to at least playoffs is 100% you have to get into playoffs.
Do you expect him to?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I personally love the Raiders team. I know they had a down year this year, but I love the Raiders team. I remember 2 years ago they were dominant and it was fun to watch. So I wouldn't say it's Super Bowl or bust, but I think within a 3 to 4 year period it's Super Bowl or bust.
Okay. What do you expect to happen? Do you think in the 10 years he has a contract, did the Raiders bring home a Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Wow. You heard it here first. Bet on Oakland every year for 10 years. You're going to at least get one win.
I think the NFL's at a stage of transition. I think within the next 5 years, you'll see guys like Tom Brady's and Drew Brees' and Aaron Rodgers start to decline, or if not be out of the league. Which I think
Roethlisberger might be done.
Roethlisberger too, yeah.
After this season,
if they win the Super Bowl, I think he might be done.
If they win the Super Bowl, he's done. He's walking away.
Yeah. So I think you'll see a little bit of a transition. I think I love Derek Carr as a quarterback. I've had him on my fantasy team. I think he's He was very underrated until he finally came on the scene 2 years ago, like for everybody. But I don't know how long it's gonna take, but I think it's Super Bowl or bust, and I think they got to do it.
I think going into next season, the Oakland Raiders have the easiest path to the playoffs. I think the AFC West is weak. I don't see the Broncos improving tremendously because they have systemic quarterback issues and they have so much money laid into so many other spots. The players who are their best players have aged out a little bit. Kansas City, I think they're in transition. You can say that they were a good team this year.
They're a big bust to me. They're a big bust.
Well, and they're going to have Patrick Mahomes is most likely going to end up being their starting quarterback next year.
It's just that they're a huge bust to me because that's a team that's been in that playoff fringe for like years now.
Yeah.
And you think they have a good team. Alex Smith looks really good, and then it's like they just in the playoffs.
Is that the coach or is it the quarterback?
Coach can never win in the playoffs. My son cannot win in the playoffs. Same thing with the Eagles.
And he's had issues forever winning and getting it done in the
playoffs.
And Alex Smith and these teams keep putting up numbers. Alex puts up numbers. It's not like they didn't score in that game.
No.
It was tiny little things that meant the difference. And I think when you have close games, I think close games are more on coaching staff and quarterbacks.
Yes.
And if the quarterback played well, guess what? I have to look at the coaching staff. And I thought Alex Smith played relatively well in the playoff game, so I got to look at the coaching staff.
They're more of a bust to me.
So with the Raiders having that situation, I would say that I would have the Raiders, depending on what happens with the Steelers, I think the Raiders are the number 1 seed next year in the AFC.
So we both have strong opinions on it.
Strong opinions. I just thought that you were going to be going the other direction.
No, I like the Raiders team. I always have.
Listen, so I would say it's going to be interesting to see what he's able to do. I think in the initial stage, he's going to have a heavy draw and a heavy pull for potential free agents, an overhaul of what he thinks the team needs. I think the team was already close. You saw that 2 years ago. I mean, Jack Del Rio was leaving with a winning record as the head coach, which is frustrating when you walk away and you're fired as the coach, even though in your 3-year stint you have a winning record. Listen, I think Jack Del Rio deserves another shot at being a head coach in the NFL. I just think this was a perfect storm of Gruden wanted back. They wanted Gruden.
Yeah.
They coming off a bad year. If you're going to make the transition, do it now. Because if they let him stay and next year they win the Super Bowl, Jack Del Rio is your coach. Gruden never comes back. If you think that Gruden is your path to potentially multiple Super Bowls, creating almost like a Patriots West, which I think that they might be able to get themselves with Las Vegas having no income tax. So what's going to happen with free agents when...
That's what happened with Robinson Cano. The reason why he went to Seattle in the MLB was
state income taxes versus where he was with the Yankees.
The Yankees, yeah.
You look at Vegas with him having no state income tax, he might leave and be out. And I think that's going to have a heavy draw for free agents in the early going. And I also think that you're going to see a wild jump in terms of the offense and its efficiency under Gruden. Because I think offensively... he's a monster.
Yeah.
He made bad quarterbacks look good.
Yeah.
And he made two great teams.
Yeah.
So I would say that I expect them to be the number 1 seed next year, and that's my hot take. Guys, moving on. Between the lines. So big game last night.
Huge game
was
last night.
Alabama versus Georgia. Alabama ends up pulling the game off in overtime on a 41-yard touchdown pass. Tua comes in the second half.
The guy.
And
my guy.
And makes it rain. You were hyped about him this morning.
Yeah.
Trying to say that he was Mike Vick, and you're bugging, but he had a good game. QB change was the entire difference in the game. We just talked about close games. The coaching staff is what matters. If he doesn't pull his quarterback and make that move in the national championship game, think about the balls that it took.
They were told before the game that was going to happen.
What?
He told Tua he's coming in at half for splitting the quarterbacks up.
Wow. Why?
I just know it was a fact because when they interviewed him after the game, they interviewed Hurts too. They're like, I knew he was coming in at half. This was a set plan that we had going in here that we were going to split time.
Man, that sounds like
they both said in separate interviews. Though.
I know, but that sounds like, hey, we pulled him into the locker room. We sat down and we had a long conversation about, hey, we need to make this look good, and we want you to save face, and we don't want to have a scandal with you. We're going to tell everybody that we made this decision ahead of time and it was part of our game plan.
Yeah, sure.
You can't tell me that your quarterback, who's been your quarterback all year,
25-2,
who's brought you to the championship game, the game plan all along was to change the quarterback out at halftime?
Yeah.
Like, what does that make sense? That you have this young kid come in who's going to have to play in the championship game. If you believed that much that he was the answer,
He should have been a starter.
He should have been the starter in the first place. Like,
that kid's the truth, though.
Listen, anybody, and I will say, the only reason why it holds any validity that, hey, we had a game plan that we were going to change quarterbacks at half is if Georgia game planned entirely to take away what the advantages were of their starting quarterback, and you go and then they go into halftime up with a lead and they think, hey, we're going to just come out second half, keep doing what we're doing. They came out thinking we're going to keep doing what we're doing. New quarterback comes in and the entire game has changed, right? And now Georgia doesn't have time to sit down with their guys and go, hey, this new quarterback change, this is what we're going to do, this is what we have to do, this is how we have to adjust. And I think that football especially is a game of adjustments.
Yeah.
I think you can adjust at halftime and you can completely change a game. I just don't know if I believe that you had a set plan to swap quarterbacks at halftime. That is wildly ballsy, but I will say this. The fact that he did do it in the national championship game and it paid off, it looks like one of the most masterstroke moves in college football championship history.
So, 3 things I got out of this. Bama will always be in the college football playoffs.
Yep.
Always.
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 There was a doubt this year, and they proved them that they'll never not be in this.
Yep.
2, the backup freshman quarterback looked really, really good.
Looked really good in half a game.
Looked really, really good.
In a system that all quarterbacks win.
3, Alabama's kicker's trash.
Not wrong.
Dude, he just missed 2. Like, the first one was bad. The second one when he was going to win the game was bad.
I don't know why kickers...
Now, let me give you 3 things on Georgia. From it, we saw his youth in this game. We saw that he has a little bit to go.
Yep.
Laquan Smith is going to be one of the best defensive players in the NFL this coming year.
Good player.
And Georgia's kicker is the truth. He won a scholarship.
Flip-flop.
He won a scholarship this year. He didn't come in with a scholarship player. He won a scholarship by kicking, I forgot how far of a field goal in practice. He won a scholarship. My man with the goggles just kicking field goals. We kicked it to go ahead with a 40-something yarder, 50. I think it was 51-yarder, actually.
And that's what I was going to say about kickers is I don't understand. If you're one of the top teams in the country,
how's your kicker in the track?
You better go out and recruit kickers as hard as you possibly can.
Yeah.
Like, if you've got a kicker who can bomb it from 50 in college, your range on what you do. Now, the only thing I'll say is at college football level, you start thinking, hey, we're going to score a lot of touchdowns. We're not going to be in field goal battles.
But
what happens if you never don't score?
But like the last game of the championship came down to a field goal. They could have won on a field goal.
Right.
They didn't have to go into overtime.
But that's what I'm saying. If you think that you sometimes in a game punt, because you're at the 38-yard line, and it's a 52-yard field goal, 54-yard field goal, and you're like, hey, we don't have any shot at scoring, but you have a bomb kicker who can put that ball through the uprights, and he drains a 54-yarder. Guess what? That changes the entire plan for you as a team. Mm-hmm. And if that guy makes an additional 10 field goals every year, that could be the difference between you have one loss and you have none.
Right.
And I think now when you're looking at the college football playoff and how much drama there was separating people this year, undefeated matters more than it ever has. If you could be undefeated, you're a lock for the playoff.
Oh, really?
Unless you are a finisher for the day. But
that's a good lead.
Guys, real quick, again, every week we separate our between the lines and our finisher with the moments of greatness. Fan-submitted videos. Go to
Moments OG on Instagram.
Moments OG on Instagram. You guys can submit anything that you did playing sports that's badass. We're looking for the coolest videos you guys can possibly do. It doesn't matter if you play badminton. Doesn't matter if you play European handball, skateboarder. Nothing. Everything can go up on there if it's badass and it's sports related. We want to see you doing it. So here are this week's moments of greatness.
Oh my goodness. You have no idea what just happened, do you? That just went in the hole. Run up and have a look.
now it's time for the finisher. This week's finisher, UCF finishes number 6 in the poll. Alabama finishes 1. But UCF is planning on having a national championship banner that they raise.
They had a parade.
And they had a parade.
In Disney.
Saying that they are the national champions of football. Are they the national champions of football?
It's a bold move, Cotton. No.
I love that reference, by the way. That's a dodgeball reference, if you guys
I
don't
watched
know.
the other day.
Yes,
Classic film.
ESPN The Ocho.
Yeah. Yes.
So Alabama claims a national championship in the 1970s that they didn't win the national championship game.
Okay. But they were the best.
But they were voted the national champion by the Associated Press. So they were voted the champion.
Yeah.
But they didn't actually win the game that was supposed to be the championship game. Which are you actually the national champion?
See, part of me feels for UCF, and part of me says stop being a damn crybaby about it. So,
but the reality is, I'd be with you. I'd be with you.
I'm torn on it.
And this is my thing. I'd be with you with UCF's got no claim. If it wasn't for the fact that the team that they just beat both Georgia and Alabama this season.
Fair.
That legitimizes to me their ability to play football. Because we talked about it weeks ago in another episode that I was like, hey, I don't know why UCF's not getting any play and they're not getting any conversation. They face off against a good Auburn team, they win. They beat Auburn, who was trying to say they should have been in the playoff. And then you can't even beat UCF. Good. It takes you Auburn, you shouldn't have been there, but it puts up UCF and you have to look at it and say, hey, UCF, you probably deserved at least some kind of competition for this.
Yeah.
We've talked about Ohio State. Ohio State handed USC a quality loss. Ohio State has a claim that they should have been there too. But UCF undefeated. You beat a bunch of top 25 teams. You haven't lost a game this year. How are you not? You're a Division I program ranked in the top 10 with no losses. I see what you could say.
No,
I see what you could say about saying, hey, how are we not the national champions when we have no losses? We won our bowl games. We've won everything. We can't win more than we can win.
They literally couldn't do anything more than what they could have done. It's
your coach could have put on. You could have put a bigger team on your base schedule.
Okay, so
if you had put on that you played, give me a team that was mediocre enough. You put USC
for Iowa
or Notre Dame on your UCF schedule, and you found that game, and you beat that team, you would have been in the You would have been in the bowl.
So I have no problem doing.
Or would you have?
Listen, I have no problem doing with what they did. I think as a player, if I won my conference game, I was undefeated, and I won the bowl game, that beat the team, that I'd be like, yo, like, what are we doing? Like,
yeah.
We did literally every single thing that we could do. We didn't lose a damn game. They deserve what they got of having their own thing. They can have their own banner, I agree with you. But at the end of the day, Bama's your championship team.
Can they claim a national championship, though? There's
No.
a number of teams, including Alabama, that claim national championships.
I don't
not
know,
win
man.
national championships.
I don't know.
To me, it's a dope question. I would say this: I don't know why UCF doesn't reach out to Alabama.
Say, yo, let's play a game.
Say, let's play a game.
I mean, now
Neutral site.
Now it don't matter.
Neutral site.
They won't do that.
We'll see you at Georgia.
They're not gonna do that. Kids are gonna get hurt. It's another way to risk kids to get hurt.
It's another way to make money.
It's another way to make money.
Everybody's about that action, boss. If UCF at least reaches out,
it'd be a news story.
and Alabama says no,
then they look like punks. Like,
who's national champion?
Yo, I don't know.
Damn.
That's for you guys to decide.
Guys, and that's why we always end with a finisher that's tough to figure out. We want to hear from you guys. What do you think? Do you think that UCF has any claim on the national championship, or do you feel like this is a hoax? It's a farce. Alabama's the champion, and UCF has no claim on anything. Comment in the bottom section. We appreciate you guys watching this week. Hope to see you around again next week. Take care. See you soon.
See you.